thought Reuben gave me his Skype address. Oh, man, I wish there was some way I could find out what the hell his address is.
Yeah, hey, you wanted me to just, I guess I could scoot.
Oh.
Here. You sent me your address, right?
Yeah, I meant Skype address, man. What are you doing in my house?
Well, if you sent me your Skype address, then I got kind of lucky finding your house.
Wow, so, hey, Planeswalkers, welcome to another episode of the Hive. My name's John, known as the Orzhov Dun. Today, kind of planeswalking in, I have Reuben Bresler, first in-studio interview.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true, man. So thanks for joining me, sir.
Of course.
Wow, so...
This is easier than Skype.
It really is.
Yeah.
You're not lying there. With internet connections, and you're not in the UK.
Correct. Not presently.
Not presently in the UK at the moment, so that creates its own issues. So, sir, thanks for joining me again. I know you're a busy man. So, as we do each and every Hive Mind, we always like to know what your Magic origin story is, sir.
Sure. So, I guess my origin story was pretty soon after I moved to Ohio with my family. I had a couple friends in Boy Scouts. I happened to be wearing one of my Boy Scout shirts, but that was a total coincidence. A couple of guys that I was friends with named Alex and Chris had a big old cardboard box of stuff that 12-year-olds like, right? Like Mad magazines, action figures, bottle rockets, things like that. And in that were a couple of Magic the Gathering decks, and they were just playing on their floor one day when I walked up to Alex's room and was like, "What's that?" And they were like, "This is Magic," and they briefly explained how the rules work, as a 12-year-old might.
Wow.
Didn't really explain all the rules correctly, but I was still fascinated by the mechanics and the math and the art and everything that sort of came together.
And what set are we talking about here?
This was right before Urza's Saga. So this was Exodus.
Excellent.
Maybe halfway, maybe a month and a half, 2 months after Exodus came out.
Okay.
And I was immediately hooked. And then I went to a place called Darts USA, which is no longer there. It's a bodega.
Darts USA.
Half the store was darts, half the store was cards. Most of that was baseball cards, but they did have a lot of Magic.
And don't put those two together.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you want to play baseball against your friends.
Correct.
But yeah, and then my mom started taking me there every Saturday and sometimes on Sundays, and that's how I got hooked.
Wow, nice. Well, I know you have an illustrious history, I would say. And, any chance that I get to use the word illustrious, I will take. So let's just talk a little bit about, we know now where it began, but just your competitive history. Where'd you go from little Reuben to
present day?
Going the dream,
Little Reuben in a 30-year-old's body. So I used to be quite good at Magic when I was like 14, 15. I was playing on the JSS Junior Super Series circuit. My biggest cash ever, still to this day, is a Junior Super Series scholarship is what they gave out. And I was very competitive from a very young age, and my parents were sometimes think it was very funny that men twice my age, 3 times my size, and I was beating them.
Right, in a child's game.
Right, in a child's game. I mean, it's not that surprising anymore now that you see some of the younger folks over the years have AJ Kerrigan and Oliver Tomako and people like that come to mind. But
absolutely,
I was that kid, not quite that good, but I was that kid for a little while. And then after that, I've taken time off. Everybody takes breaks from Magic.
Yes.
So instead of grinding Magic, for example, early in college I was grinding stand-up comedy. In high school I focused on soccer. Various things took over from Magic, and then I always sort of reverted back for various things. My career as a competitive player isn't as illustrious after age 20. I have 2 SCG top 8s.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had kind of a recent one.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I got second place at SCG Cincinnati with a Painter Servant Grindstone deck.
Right.
And then several years before that, I top 8'd with a mono blue control deck during Mental Misstep Legacy that had things like Energy Field and Vidalcan Shackles in it, which we lovingly refer to as Athens Blue. And so I have 2 SCG top 8s. I have a couple of halfway decent GP finishes, another one with Painter. at the Gabriel Nassif 2009 Chicago. I finished top 32, 30th, something like that. Had a shot at top 8, then lost to Ad Nauseam Tendrils twice in the last 2 rounds. Not bitter.
Right, not naming names.
But that deck had 4 active volcanoes in it. And that might be the highest finish for an active volcano.
You're just like, when the 4th one hit, you're like, really?
Yeah.
You got it.
It's like, well, how many pyroblasts do you need?
Yeah.
Well, apparently more, because now we're playing active volcano.
Right.
But yeah, I've always had the spike mindset, even though I haven't always been the most competitive. And I've always been more friends with the pros rather than the Johnnies or the more casual folks.
Sure. Even though that Mr. A specific bald man is the biggest Timmy on the face of the earth.
Absolutely, sure, yeah. And I guess my history with content, of creating content, is different than my history of competitive Magic, and that sort of just was serendipitous. I mean, I went to college for performance and film and English and stuff like that, and writing. During college, my buddy Nick Miller, presently the sideboard reporter for StarCityGames.com,
yes,
and I were college classmates, and really good friends. And we and he found the Magic Show. He was like, "Hey, this guy's making Magic videos. Check these out." And I was like, "Oh, this is cool. Nobody's making YouTube videos yet, about Magic," which is weird.
Now everyone
is. But he was so early that he got to call his The Magic Show.
Right, yeah.
Without Wizards coming at it.
Sure.
So, and then one week, Evan was going to go on vacation, and then he announced that if somebody makes a Magic Show, and it's okay, he'll post it as a Magic Show.
Yeah.
And Nick was like, "We can do this." I was like, "Sure." So we made episode, I think it's 48 or 49 of the Magic Show, which was a Future Sight preview show.
Yeah.
And that was me and Nick. That was me with ponytail.
Right.
And Nick looking much younger as well. And we previewed Future Sight on an episode, and that was the first time that either of us had made any media related to Magic. And then from that point, we both got hired by a long defunct website called Londis.com. That was edited by Bill Stark and also boasted Owen Turtenwald as a writer.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that was 2005.
Talk about diamond in the rough, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I started making my own content elsewhere after Londis kind of folded. And I found my way to the TCG Player blogs, following Bill Stark over there.
Sure.
But the blog editor at the time was Ricky Hayashi, another name that everybody knows.
Wow.
Or the guy in charge. I don't know if he was editor. And I started making the main phase, which was a video series. It was very YouTube-y, right? Very Philip DeFranco jump cuts kind of.
As it should be.
I go back and watch those, and those are actually still they have rewatch value. Those are actually, I'm pretty proud of those.
Nice.
But they were ridiculous, and they very quickly became very popular. And then Evan decided that he needed to hire somebody to cover tournaments. And then, I guess there was a period in there where I got hired as a writer at Star City, then fell away as being a writer at Star City. Then he decided later, around, I think this was Nashville 2012. The one that Reed Duke beat Todd Anderson in the finals. Right around then, he offered me a job as a video coverage and content reporter at Star City Games. Yeah. And so that's sort of my development in the early part of my coverage career. And probably what I'm best known for is my time as a sideboard reporter and interviewer and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I know this is going to come kind of later on. I have a question, but during like the sideboard, do you have any like specific memories of like interviewing some people maybe not known at the time, but now later on you think back, you're like, oh my god, I interviewed such and such, and look at them now.
Sure. Well, I mean, there are a couple interviews that really stick out in my mind. I've interviewed so many people, but a couple come to mind, I guess. I interviewed Adam Yesagalian. Who of American Idol fame.
Yeah.
I think before he was on American Idol, just because he had a weird deck. He was an interesting, charismatic dude. If you've seen him.
Right. Yeah. He's quite different.
He's he's animated. He's got the big hair. He's got the excited personality. And when I'm looking for people to interview, the deck is nice.
Yeah.
But I definitely want the people.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, the other one that really comes to mind is I was at SCG Washington D.C. And a huge dude comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm a big fan of all your work. I've just recently gotten back into Magic." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much. What's your name?" And he said, "I'm Huey Jensen."
Oh, crap.
And I didn't recognize him, and he recognized me
Right.
the first time that I met him. And then I was like, "Wait a second, hold on."
Triple take.
Right. This was right when he got back from Curacao after working on the island. A bunch of folks go down there to work for there's a Magic connection with Pinnacle, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he had just come back into Magic, and this was his return, really.
Mm-hmm.
And he, for him to say that he was a fan of mine was a huge honor. And then I obviously got him in the sideboard, was able to talk to him about his life and his career, pre-Hall of Fame,
Right.
most recent top 8.
That's excellent.
And this was even pre-Peach Garden Oath. And this actually, that event, Reduke won. So that was the Rug Primeval Titan deck, I think.
Oh, okay.
And that was really exciting to have somebody of that magnitude come up to me at a Star City event.
That
was
awesome.
excellent. Yeah.
That is so cool, man. So so just coverage. You kind of went from you did a lot with Star City, and then it was kind of it was kind of well publicized. What happened there? And not really what happened, but that you were gone from Star City.
I was gone from Star City.
Yeah.
And I was a relatively well-known public figure at the time, and I felt like sort of ghosting wasn't what I needed to do, and so I announced that we had parted ways, and that created a bit of a stir because people really liked what I brought of various things. People have even to this day nobody's really replicated the newsening. Nobody's really, or the interviews, and I have a very unique voice, a very unique style. I don't want to sound like I'm touting myself, tooting my own horn too much, but it's true.
Right.
And so when I left, obviously a lot of people were like, well, "How could they possibly," et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And it was a tough time for me because I felt like I was secure and happy with what I was doing.
And plus the suddenness too. From the outside, I don't know how it was on the inside, but from the outside, everyone kind of looking in. Like you said, the news inning was happening all the time. It was gaining. It seemed like the momentum was going in one way, and then all of a sudden the plug was pulled, and it was just very bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, when that kind of thing happens, it's always a surprise, right?
Sure.
And so I don't know on the scale of 1 to surprise.
Right.
I don't know. I was certainly a little.
You were colored surprise, yeah.
But that's life, I don't fault them for their decision. I think that my life certainly has grown from that point.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think that my time at Star City Games was a good length. I'm pleased with my time there, but I'm also pleased that I'm not there anymore.
Sure.
Even though they did some exciting things after I left, and I would look from the outside and look a little bit wistful at my friends that were still there.
Yeah.
My buddy Nick Miller, who I referenced earlier, had just gotten hired there, and so I was looking forward to working with him, and we only got to work together for about 6 weeks.
Sure.
Which was a little sad, but it's all water under the bridge, and I'm still a big fan of a lot of the stuff that they do.
Yeah, and it was that whole company has a nice kind of if you want to do kind of what you're doing or other people are doing.
There's nowhere else to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's nowhere else really that you can get the on-the-ground training as somebody who does interviews.
Right.
Really. If you do it for Wizards, they swap you in and out with all the different roles.
Right.
You can't really specialize. And at Star City Games, I was really able to nail down, get really good at interviews and deck techs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And so just talk about some of the kind of opportunities you had after Star City, post career in coverage and whatnot after Star City.
So after I left Star City, I tried streaming for a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't really. It wasn't for me.
Okay.
Streaming is a thing that you need to be very specifically wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll give this a shot. And I tried it, and it wasn't for me. I admire people like Kenji and Darkest Mage and all the guys that stream regularly.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
It's not where that's not my wheelhouse. And so I after that I did a couple of contracted gigs. I did a WMCQ for Card Titan, where I co-commentated with Christian Calcano, and Chris Pakula stepped in the booth for a round, and Harry Corvasi stepped in the booth for a round. That was a fun time. I announced Cardmageddon here in Las Vegas with Tannen Grace and Michelle Roberson of the Frag Dolls, and she works at Ubisoft now. Nice. That was a great time. Our commentary team was top notch.
Yeah.
Event, but commentary team was insane.
Right. And you could kind of put a lot of lipstick on a pig that way. You could dress up.
I did my job great.
Exactly.
And Michelle did her job great, and Tannen did his job great, as proven by the fact that now he's like a Hearthstone celebrity.
Right.
That has he was on he's done a ton of like New Order opens and PvP live stuff. He's done a ton of great stuff, and obviously Michelle is amazing. She's constantly anchoring various either Fragdoll or Twitch things, stuff like that. So that team was great. Unfortunately, we only got to work together that one time. And I've done a couple of other guest spots on various commentaries and written occasional articles. There was a brief time where I worked with MTG headquarters, where I was going to be making a video series with them. I wrote a couple articles, and then we sort of went our separate ways, as that project didn't really get off the ground immediately.
As projects tend to do sometimes.
And people might be surprised to learn that I was working with
headquarters. I know
this was long before either of our social medias got particularly political. And we noticed that we didn't want to possibly be on the same page on that. So, it was before that time.
That's fair.
But that was during my streaming phase as well. And I was just sort of trying to find myself in Magic content. I had ended all of the podcasts that I'd been on. Obviously, I'd also worked on In Contention with Samuel Stoddard and Joey Pasco and, of course, Matt Kranstuber. Previous to working at Star City, and then In Contention became the official podcast of the Open Series for a brief time.
Right.
That had ended. My video series had ended. I was sort of in this flux period. And that's when I decided to pack it all up and move to Vegas. And I decided that, playing poker for a living was a thing I could do. I had done it for a while in college. This was another break I'd taken, was I was just playing poker all the time.
What was your introduction to that? We don't usually get a poker origin story, but, why not?
Growing up playing Magic, growing up playing D&D. My parents met through their mutual friend at a party. They played in the same D&D group before they started dating.
That's awesome.
So I was born into the nerd.
Nice.
I lived here the
no
whole
chance.
time. And when you start out with a math and gaming background, like I said, I was very early in the nerdy. I was very good at Magic when I was 14, so I was playing matches for thousands of dollars when I was 13 and 14. So the pressure of people watching me or the pressure of money being on the line wasn't there for me.
Right.
And so I had that already in the bag. And then I also had a lot of the math already in the bag. I had things like board position and odds and things like that. So poker came very naturally to me.
Sure.
And I learned it young. I grew up in the Midwest. There were cards at every,
dining room table.
Every dining room table after every dinner of every family event.
Sure.
Learned poker very early. This was before the poker boom even. I graduated high school in 2004, and that's really when the boom took off. But I was playing poker in high school, junior, senior year of high school. And so when I got to college and I was able to play online, I was able to supplement my income.
Nice.
Funny story, when I didn't ask my parents for money my entire freshman year of college, they thought I was selling my ADHD drugs at the time. And they were like, so it's not a big deal, but...
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm playing poker.
Right.
Like, sure. So then poker is a great way to make a living when you're not making a living.
Yeah.
When you don't have a job. It's a job when you don't have a job, and it's always been there for me. And it's lucky that I have that skill set.
Absolutely. It's not an easy skill set to acquire
Certainly
or be
not.
good at.
And I don't want to be a pro poker player. Like, that's not a lifestyle I'm interested in either, just like the streaming. I'm not cut out to play poker for a living.
Okay.
I love playing poker as sort of like a side job, maybe like a little bit, but not as my main source of income. It's way too much for me.
And what about future competitive Magic play? It's kind of the same thing?
At this time, I'm aware of my own Magic mortality.
Okay.
I know that I'm a good player, and that if I put effort in, I could probably be a quite good player. But I know so many pros who are not only naturally gifted but work harder than I do and are willing to work harder than I do and willing to buy plane tickets last second to be able to get those extra few pro points. That's not me either.
Yeah. You're not the Christian Calcone.
I'm not. Yeah.
Super grinder.
Super grinder. Jerry Thompson buying a ticket across the country to enter an SCG Open to get level 8 on the SCG Tour. I'm not Christian Calcano booking the last minute plane ticket because I got 16th at the last GP to fly to Buenos Aires or whatever. That's not me either.
Yeah.
If there's one downfall of Reuben Bresler, it's work ethic. I think that without tooting my own horn again, I have some natural talent at some things and it's unique. But boy, am I lazy.
as most great artists are, sir.
Right, exactly. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, Picasso was a slob, right?
You're exactly right.
And I think died of syphilis, but I'm totally unrelated.
I'll try to not follow in those exact footsteps.
Do people still get that?
Syphilis?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Other countries, hopefully. Anyway, let's we had a good segue with the last minute of buying things, and then we took a complete
sure
weird turn. But let's get back to the last minute buying plane tickets. You and AJ,
yes,
and I'm gonna butcher the last name.
Soccer, just the sport,
just the
AJ soccer.
Very good. You and AJ Soccer were very kind of underwhelmed with Watsy's coverage. I think that's fair to say, right? And you guys just said, hey, we're going to do it, and you guys are going to let us in, and guess what? They did.
Right. So this was 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Man, time flies.
And because I'm sure I have some fans watching, of the Sunday Super Series.
Got there.
AJ and I were both just kind of up in the middle of the night, the Friday before the Sunday Super Series 2 years ago. And we were like, wow, there's no coverage of this event that has Sam Black and Reed Duke and Luis Salvato and a bunch of these other big names.
Huge names.
And there wasn't another event going on that weekend either. And this was also 2 years ago when they had cut back on coverage a little bit. And we were very underwhelmed, and we were just like, hey, tweeting about it, be like, how are we, people who are plugged into Magic's underground, just learning?
Sure.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
And people started tweeting at us like, you should do coverage, and we got enough of those tweets that we were like, look, if somebody sends us there, we'll do it. We received a tweet from Helene Bergeau of recently left Watsy, director of organized play, said, if you do it, then sure, whatever, we'll let you in. And then we were like, I mean, if we fly up there, we'll do it. And then we actually got sponsored by Michael Caffrey of Tales of Adventure.
That's awesome.
To fly us there. And we had a little bit of a Kickstarter, not really a Kickstarter, but we had some donations come in. And we were like, all right, well, this is a thing.
Yeah.
We bought last-second plane tickets from Vegas. He and I, at the time, I don't think we were roommates. When I first moved to Vegas, AJ and I were roommates.
Okay.
But at the time, I think I was living with Eric Froelich and Brock Parker. In a different living situation. But the two of us flew to Seattle, and just fans, just folks were like, here, borrow our camera equipment. Here, we'll pick you up from the airport.
Crazy.
Here, we're donating so that you can make this content. And unfortunately, we weren't able to bring live coverage, but we were brought as close to live coverage as we could. We did interviews minutes after matches. We did deck techs on the floor during the tournament. We did tournament updates as soon as we could get them out. Unfortunately, not streamed live coverage, but yeah, that was a weird weekend.
It was pretty damn fantastic.
And it was great, and that was my first time at Wizards of the Coast. It was certainly a weird introduction to Wizards of the Coast, but I got to see a lot of my friends there. They were a little confused by what AJ and I were doing, honestly. But hey, we created guerrilla coverage, and so if the one thing that's a downfall of me and certainly of AJ is well, actually not of AJ anymore. He's putting out content all the time. But if my downfall is work ethic and actually doing the thing, that was not a weekend where we failed to do the thing. We actually went out there and put ourselves out there. And that's my number one thing that I always tell people who are like, how do you get into Magic? Magic coverage. And just put yourself out there. You need to put as many minutes, hours of yourself onto the internet as you possibly can until somebody maybe sees your video or sees your face or sees your article. And then you have to get lucky.
Yeah, it's very true. And it's not like you have to go and you have to, bug people's social media stuff, even though that may or may not be how we met, but
sure.
No, but you know, it's just like don't mistake it for hounding people is the way to go, but put quality stuff out there, right? It's just like people nowadays just expect to turn on the camera the first day and to be, you know, YouTube famous, right. And that's just so far from the truth.
And that was my downfall with Twitch too, was I was just expecting people, oh, it's Reuben Bresler, obviously I'm going to go tune into his stream, and then that didn't really happen. I mean, I had quite a few viewers for a first-time streamer. Like, I was around 200 viewers as soon as I started streaming, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's really not that bad.
No, it's really not. But I was, you know, that wasn't enough for me at the time in my head, which is very greedy of me. Because when you know, when Kenji started streaming, when Numat started streaming, he was only getting less than 50 viewers a day during his year of streaming every day. Even 4 months in, he was only getting 200 or so. Yeah. And then by the end of the year, he was the most popular Magic streamer. Right. So you gotta just put in the work, put in the work, put in the work.
Absolutely. So yeah, so after the any chances of something like, you know, I know the whole magic of it was kind of the guerrilla style of that impromptu series, or the I wrote down impromptu. I'm going to keep reading that. The guerrilla coverage for the Sunday series. Yeah. Is there any chance of something like that happening again?
Look, anything's possible, but I don't think that exact kind of thing is a thing that, first of all, I would want to do. Okay. It was fun to do at the time, but it was so... I put a lot of people in a lot of awkward situations by just showing up at their door with camera equipment, right? And so the right way to do it is to go 2 weeks out, a month out, be like, look, you guys aren't doing anything, give us permission to do it. Yeah. Then if they say no, sure, do something like what Paul Cheon does with his vlogs, or the chlog, right? Yeah. Or Periscope, things like that are possible. But I don't think anything like what the crazy production that AJ and I put together is something I'm interested in. Certainly, there's room for it if somebody wants to try. Right. Also, Wizards of the Coast has stepped up their commentary game. Certainly, there aren't any massive oversights like that.
But they were incredibly accommodating too.
Oh, absolutely.
That was pretty cool.
They should have said no, you can't come in. I was fully expecting us to come to Wizards of the Coast and they say, you're trespassing on our property, please leave. Right. And I would have been like, you're absolutely right. Right? And then we would have like recorded something at, you know, one of the nearby houses.
Yeah, Card Kingdom or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But they were so nice. They were like, please come in. You can have this whole conference room that's right next to the tournament site. You're welcome to join in on lunch. You're welcome to talk with all the players and all the staff. You want to do interviews. And they were so accommodating.
That's excellent.
It's just a absolutely, like, for a Fortune 500 company to do that was spectacular.
Wow. So let's kind of segue over to kind of what you're doing now. You know, we've kind of gotten the whole roadmap and kind of the genesis of the Magic Mike's podcast.
Sure. So once again, Evan Irwin. After Star City had ended, obviously Evan and I didn't talk for a while because I was not super excited about the way that I had left. And he was still at Star City at the time. And then once he had his Star City exit, he was looking for other projects to start putting back together. And he started doing the lore series. He started doing a couple new Magic shows. He was streaming a little bit. And then he decided that he wanted to do a live podcast. And apparently I was like top of the list, and he just contacted me. He was like, hey, are you interested in doing a live streamed video Twitch kind of podcast? I was like, sure. Who did you have in mind? And he said, well, me, you, and Aaron Campbell, who of the Deck Tease and Girlfriend Bracket. She's, you know, just spectacular at the interview style media as well. Yeah. And the three of us combined are probably three of maybe the 5 most well-known Magic personalities that aren't or weren't at the time at a major company and also aren't known for playing, really. Yeah. We're like we're talking heads. We're really good at like the Sunday brunch kind of roundtable discussion kind of stuff. And it took off immediately, basically.
Of course,
And so you know, we do our show every Wednesday, 10 or 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific. But I get online at 7 because we have an hour-long pre-show. that people who support the Patreon get to watch the pre-show that goes into the regular show, and it's a really interesting development to be able to watch an extra hour of not really content, but us putting together the show that a lot of people really enjoy.
Oh yeah, that's you get some of the best stuff there.
Yeah, and it's also not safe for work. You get all you also get all the dirty stories, and you know, if you want to hear my crazy stripper story from a couple months ago.
Well, we're not really a censored show, so no.
I mean, it's Las Vegas. Everybody's got a crazy stripper. But in any case, and we're doing great. We have an official sponsor in CoolStuffInc.com now. We have a Patreon that gives us a nice little budget to work off of. We got water bottles and magnets and stickers, and we got other stuff coming down the line as well. We get probably not quite 1,000 viewers on Twitch and YouTube combined live every week. Probably get maybe 700, 750, which is quite a bit. Plus, 5 digits of downloads a month. So we're doing great, and I love it. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. We're coming up on 100 episodes, I think, the week after Grand Prix Las Vegas.
God, that just goes so fast. Seriously,
I know.
I felt like I just watched the first show. Like the other day, which is crazy. But any kind of plans for the future with the podcast that you could spoil, or?
We were working on try. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay. But we were working on trying to get a live show, with audience at the Grand Prix.
Wow.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
Unfortunately, but we were working on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, that would have been a cool thing to do. With the podcast, I mean, we've always got stuff we're trying to work out. We've recently, now that we have Cool Stuff as our sponsor, we're giving away stuff every week. So we have all the good chat giveaways and things like that. But beyond that, our tokens are still in the works. We haven't gotten our tokens quite done yet. But we're always trying to come up with new stuff. If you have any ideas, let me know about how to support.
I sure will.
Sure.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
Anybody out there too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We want to stay relevant. We want to stay new and fresh, and give people what they want based on our show. So. Absolutely,
man. So. Going off of that and just kind of your Magic plans for the future, I know the podcast is a big thing. You said competitive, probably not so much, but do you have anything else in the works, just kind of, 5-year-ish plan?
Not for Magic, really.
Okay.
I've recently become a poker dealer at the Wynn Hotel, Casino, and Fancy Place.
We're now not only neighbors, but neighbors in our careers as well.
Yeah. So if you're here this summer, I work not on Monday, not on Wednesday, but swing shift every other day of the week.
Split your days off?
I asked for those days off.
Yeah, obviously.
Wednesday I got podcast, and Monday I got D&D.
D&D,
I run a D&D game with some of the professional poker players in town.
Excellent. You can't out any of the names.
Oh, sure, certainly. Harry Corvasi. Okay. He's my roommate now. He's also a 4-time GP top 8 competitor. WSOP bracelet winner Ryan LaPlante. WSOP bracelet, I believe, bracelet winner and runner-up, and just all-around, probably the 3rd best mixed game player in the world, Randy Ohl.
Wow.
And then, who else is in? Kevin Gerhardt, who cashed the main event of the World Series last year, and also is a Magic player, lots of GP top 8s, SCG top 8s. And then a couple other folks from around town. And we have a D&D group that, if we ever decide to stream it, which I know people have asked me to stream this game, but we're all most of the players are kind of new. All of the players except for me are new to 5th edition.
Okay.
And I'm running the game in 5th edition because I like 5th edition.
Yeah.
And also they're putting out new products.
Balls to the rules, right?
Exactly. And so if we ever decide to stream it, we're calling it D-Gens and Dragons.
Oh.
And so if we get to level 5, level 6, they're at level 2 right now. If we get up to that point, we'll rediscuss it, because enough people contacted me and asked because D&D streaming is a big thing now too.
It really is.
And I also do a podcast on Critical Role, which is the D&D podcast that everybody loves on Geek and Sundry, with all those voice actors like Matt Mercer and all those folks. And I do a fan podcast on them that I do every week. I get a little lazy with it, sometimes every other week. But that's edited by Jay Wiley, John Wells of the Eyes on the Mize podcast.
Nice.
And we work together on that project as well.
So. Very good. Well, if you ever open up the one of the campaigns to filming or whatever, I would love to do a piece on it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've had some ideas on trying to get together one-shots. I know Jeremy Knoll from SCG was thinking about doing one of the Magic Gathering background storylines. at Vegas with Magic folks, we can put together a one-shot with various, Magic folks.
Absolutely, I think that'd be
a cool idea.
I think it'd be cool. See, we did come up with something.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, and then so we kind of went through it, but let's see. This is the ultimate test.
Should I look at
No, that is for my eyes only, sir.
Oh, well then why do I have a copy?
I don't know, because I'm bad at my job. There you go. Okay, so this is the part of the episode where Reuben has to face the gauntlet of power.
See, I'm usually the one doing the interviewing.
Right. So we could even do that in that kind of a format, if you will. But I'm going to ask Reuben, and since Reuben's our first in-studio guest, I went balls out and did a 10 questions.
Wow.
Yes, as opposed to the normal 8 style format. So
there's no D20 roll?
No D20 roll. We might bring that back.
Okay. I got my D20 ring. I don't know if you see this.
Very cool. Wow.
You want to spin it? What did I got a 13.
You got a 13? I don't have 13 questions.
Rats.
Maybe next time. All right, sir. So, are you ready?
All right, go ahead.
All right, question 1. Any chance of reviving Magic the Newsening?
This is the number one question I get from everyone. There's a chance.
Okay.
It's such a good project.
But the
problem is, I don't want to produce it myself because I am not a tech guy.
Okay.
When I had the folks, Jonathan Choi, Shoebox, Jeremy Knoll, all the rest of the folks, and Evan obviously, and the big studio, and talented minds like BBD would write a good amount of the jokes while I was
funny guy.
There. He's hilarious.
Really funny
so
guy.
Funny.
Yeah, underrated.
Brad Nelson would help out. Everyone was sort of on board with this project. I would write most of the jokes, but it was really a family project. And beyond just the fact that I don't want to be in my own echo chamber when it comes to content, I don't want to make a grainy, crappily edited thing.
A worser version of something.
So I've entertained the idea of a Kickstarter to try to buy studio time, to be able to make a good product, to be able to hire an editor.
Absolutely.
The likelihood of that is higher than anything else in Magic.
Hear that, folks.
I'm much more likely to do newsening than I am to top 8 GP.
Again.
I think.
Again. So. All right. Question 2. Favorite Magic set of all time. Go.
The one that it's always been Urza's Legacy for me.
Urza's Legacy. That's a deep.
I started with Exodus, and then Urza's Saga was the first set release I came to, and then I started getting competitive early. And Urza's Legacy was my first real. It was the first booster box I bought.
Okay.
The first pack of Urza's Legacy I opened had a foil Grim Monolith in it.
Jeez. You still have it?
No, I sold it for like $5.
Of course, right?
It was Grim Monolith. It was like,
this doesn't.
Well, Magic cards weren't worth money at the time.
Right.
Richardon Ports were like $15. When they came out, it's like. Urza's Legacy. I had collected the whole set when I was like 14, and then got it stolen, which sucked.
Yikes.
That was my first big theft of mine. I left my binder on the table and it was gone.
Everyone's been there once.
Got my bike stolen. But Urza's Legacy always been near and dear to my heart. I loved.
Favorite card out of it?
Grim Monolith.
Grim Monolith
was the first. I mean, once I opened a Grim Monolith, I was like, how do I use Grim Monolith? Wildfire. And then I just built Wildfire.
Yeah. And you weren't wrong.
No, I wasn't wrong.
You weren't
and then a couple months later, Kai showed me actually how to build Wildfire. I was like, oh, okay.
How unwrong you weren't.
Sure, yeah.
Nice. All right, question 3. Strangest interview on the sideboard.
Strangest?
On camera or off camera? I mean...
I've had some weird folks. We had a guy... I don't want to call anybody out.
Okay, no problem.
We've had some weird folks. Like, people who didn't really want to be on camera are always strange because they... So, I had a sideboard interview where the guy must have said a grand total of 10 words.
Right.
Where I'm like giving him these big setups and he goes, yep. And then I wait 3 seconds and then I go, well, this card's an interesting choice, and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a little bit strange. In terms of topics, I had a great interview, and I feel so bad I forget this guy's name. I had a great interview with a guy at SEG Providence one time, where he had collected enough of the oversized promo cards that he built 4 decks, and he put together 4 tables so that you could play all these cards.
That's insane.
And one of the decks had, or multiple of the decks had Chaos Orb. And you would have to drop it from like a chair, and it was amazing. And I interviewed that guy. We got to look at the decks, and I got to talk to him about the big magic, is what we call it.
Yes.
And all the cards were in comic book sleeves.
Nice.
To be able to protect them.
Yeah.
That was a fun interview.
My favorite interview, and we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, but I don't remember the gentleman's name, so I apologize. And maybe you do, but. It was for the Curses deck. It was Innistrad Standard. It was black-red Curses. Yeah. And he was good. He was fine. You know, he really didn't want to see Sigarda, but I actually took that deck and won a couple, you know, little F&Ms and stuff, but a game day, and literally had table flipping happen.
That's amazing.
It was my, like, greatest Magic achievement of all time. And, of course, at the end you said, Curses! And he's just like, what? Yeah. Totally like this.
Yeah, over his head.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it's if anybody out there is trying to do sideboard interviews, you really gotta, you gotta find an interesting deck sometimes. But more importantly, you gotta find an interesting person.
Right.
Like I said, Adam Essegalian is a great example of this. People who are animated and excited about the deck. There are people who I seek out. Yeah. Caleb Durward is another one who I interviewed multiple times.
Oh,
he's just
great.
so passionate and knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That he's just a perfect sideboard interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And people that want to get interviewed, up and comers. Yeah. Talk,
Absolutely.
like put yourself out there. Be camera kind of friendly. You don't have to be fake. Be yourself, of course, but be an interview. Right. There's nothing worse than interviewing people that are just they don't say anything.
Yeah, a bunch of especially in Magic and poker, it's a sport really, and you're going to get interviewed by sideline reporters. If you're in a sport, you have an agent who gives you like training to be like, look at the person. Speak in complete sentences. Look at the camera. Then look back at the person. Yeah. You don't have that in Magic and in poker. So you have a lot of these awkward, sort of like sheltered kind of interviews. Be confident. People want to know about your deck. And when you do that, you put yourself out there. You just put on. It's very tough. But personally, I am, honest to God, an introvert. Right. I put on a very brave face. I've been trained to do this. This is my facade that I put on. But I won't leave the house if I don't have to. Yeah. So it can be tough, especially for Magic folks. We started playing Magic
by nature.
Yeah, by nature. We started playing at the kitchen table or at the school lunch table or whatever because we weren't the popular kid. Yeah. Usually. Right.
I was still kind of cool.
I was a theater kid and another kid personally. But there are some. I don't want to segregate completely. There are some jocks, but by and large,
I'm more of a cool skater. Guy, but
but certainly it attracts introverts by nature of all of the lore and all of the math and all of that kind of stuff. But you gotta put on a mask. I'm not saying to put yourself out there in the classic sense.
Right, because it's gonna come off as disingenuous.
Even if you pretend, they don't know you personally. Right? You guys don't know that I'm an introvert.
They do now.
They do now. They haven't seen that. Right. It's just a brave face kind of thing.
Absolutely. So. Question 4. These are supposed to be rapid fire.
Sorry.
No, we're going to throw out the rules because this is really interesting. Okay. So, number 4. It's the last day on Earth. Pick 5 Magic personalities to hang out with.
It's the last day on Earth.
Yes. Besides me.
5 Magic personalities. Besides you.
Besides me, of course.
I mean, I would have to go back to like the folks that that I've known the longest. Sure. Folks from Central Ohio. So, Matt Kranstuber. Okay. Sam Stoddard.
He seems like a really cool guy.
Sam Stoddard's just aces. Yeah. He's like the best. He's so smart and so funny and just caring and he's great. Adam Prozac.
Oh, nice. Again, same, yeah.
And then I'm going to pick a couple of guys who are still in the Cincinnati area that people probably don't really know. They've got a couple of SCG top 8s, Peter Johnson and Taylor Gunn.
Taylor Gunn sounds familiar. I'm not too familiar with Peter Johnson.
Peter is at Peter of Days on Twitter, and Taylor is Gunn, Gunn, in 60 seconds. And they used to be the hosts of MTG The Bridge, if you recall the Bridge podcast from legit MTG. Okay. Back in the day. So I would pick a couple. I'd pick 5 of my Ohio folks.
Very nice. Awesome. Okay, so number 5. Which role do you prefer in D&D, playing or DMing?
That's tough. I prefer DMing. it's so much work.
I was gonna say that goes against your lazy nature that you said.
I know. It is so much work.
I
put so much work into this campaign that I've put together for these guys and campaigns in college and in the past. But I just love storytelling. It goes along with my stand-up comedy. It goes along with performance in the newsing and stuff like that. And the sideboard, all of that together, narration and creating group storytelling.
Yeah.
And, it's not so much that I get to, like the players, they get to play one character. Maybe they also get to play an NPC if I'm too busy. I get to play the world.
Right, exactly.
I get to play every character. And I really like doing voices, doing voice acting. I was the voice of Leovold in a I got that card bang. But yeah, I love that aspect of it. And it's tough for me to focus. I have ADHD, like I mentioned. It's really tough for me to focus on a lot of things unless I'm really interested in them. It used to be sorting magic cards. It used to be stand-up comedy. It used to, in various times in my life, it's been poker, it's been D&D, it's been various things. But when I get nailed in on something, man, I am in on it, and then I just lose track of time.
Sure.
And that's how I am with creating this world.
That's excellent. Any do you ever try to throw in any? Are you pretty much a purist as far as the D&D rules go and the books go, or do you ever throw in like some outside influence?
Oh, certainly. I'm huge. Well, nowadays I have a huge, very noticeable Matt Mercer streak. Basically, I have a lot of new players in my game. This is Harry Corvasi's first game, for example. Basically, I'll just be like, "What do you want to do?" And then I have them say a sentence. I want to jump off this ledge and attack this guy. And then I'll translate that into the rules.
Okay.
And I'm big on storytelling and big on when they kill a big monster. Matt Mercer's line is, "How do you want to do this?" My line is, "Describe your cutscene." And so I let them describe their big epic kill.
Nice.
As part of the storytelling kind of element, and that's. I'm big in trying to make epic moments happen. I want them to have a bunch of fun.
Yeah. Memorable.
I'm pretty big on the rules too.
Yeah.
I don't want them to break things, but they're Magic players and poker players. They're going to break them. They're going to figure out how to find the niches in the rules.
Sure.
But I try to keep it together just enough so that everybody has fun.
Yeah, it was probably just my lack of experience, but I would throw in characters from other things. I used to make whole campaigns off of Coheed and Cambria songs.
Oh, sure.
And do like put in like the Gunslinger and stuff like that. But
personally, right now I'm running Out of the Abyss, which is a pre-packaged campaign created by professionals at Wizards of the Coast.
Right,
so I'm like, they know how to make a story.
Exactly.
But I'll certainly throw in elements that are not intended. For example, they're running through a temple that's not in the book.
Nice.
Last night I created a character that I just sort of came up with off the top of my head, who was basically a hillbilly spider farmer. Just a complete southern hick ettercap, if you know anything about ettercaps are spider shepherds.
Yes.
And he had like a wide brim hat and was just like, had two giant spiders running a plow, and he was giving the characters directions. Like, you go about 20 minutes that way, you're gonna get to town.
Nice.
See you folks later. and it was really just a hilarious image for me. So I did that.
That's excellent.
I guess I'm like 70% book, 30% flavor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love improv and doing all that kind of stuff too.
Of course.
But I like having the framework to fall back on.
All right. Question 6. Does Magical Christmas Land actually exist?
It does. It does exist. It's very difficult to get to, and when you get to it, you have to not have gotten to it a lot.
Right.
Like Magical Christmas Land, if you play a deck that has Magical Christmas Land, you get to live in Magical Christmas Land 1% of the time.
Right. Or you put the peanut butter and the jelly together.
Exactly, right. And you get to cast Cruel Ultimatum on turn 3, or whatever that deck used to do.
Whatever that
I played a impromptu raid dramatic entrance deck at States one time, and it was not good. But when I got to flip like a Doomgape off of impromptu raid,
oh my God.
Boy, it was so much fun.
Something special. I guess the last deck that was like that was like Epic Experiment, kind of standard, right? That played all the weird things, and one sometimes the gate thing kind of did that too.
Yeah,
but
the Maze's End deck. Yeah. I mean, it's rare that those decks are competitive.
Right.
But the closest thing that we got in standard right now, I guess, is the New Horizons deck.
Right.
Which
is that the eggy one or?
No, that's the cycling one.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You just like play Approach the Second Suns, play New Horizons, cycle until you draw Approach the Second Suns again. And
right.
Yeah. So that's a cool deck. But usually they're not super competitive. That deck just loses constantly to
Aetherworks Marvel. Yeah. And Aetherworks Marvel, I guess, in a sense, is kind of Magical Christmas Land, just a lot more streamlined and
like tooth and that's more of a tooth and nail style deck.
Yeah.
Which Dragonstorm, Tooth and Nail, Enduring Ideal, those kind of decks have always been kind of good. So.
Sure. All right. Number 7, if you could spend 24 hours with a dead historical figure, who would it be?
Are they alive in this scenario, or are they dead the whole time?
I mean, we're not going to say zombie form, because that would be distracting.
Okay.
But yeah, just a regular person reanimated for a 24-hour period of time.
Historical figure.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I
can speak their language, is the assumption here as well?
Absolutely. You could take the pill and, the words come out.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci. Nice.
He's just so far ahead of his time, still.
Yeah.
And just a great artist and an interesting mind. That'd be my pick.
Excellent choice. We usually get presidents on that one, so I like that Leonardo.
No American bias. Also, Leonardo. It would have had to have been one of the Ninja Turtles. And Leonardo da Vinci, of the 4 artists based on Ninja Turtles, I think is my pick. Even though I'm Mikey.
I'm a Raph guy.
Raph, you're cool but rude.
Cool but rude.
Well, fair enough.
But I wouldn't want to
hang out with Raphael.
Probably not. Seems kind of a dick. Next question. Question 8. Favorite book series of all time.
Book series?
Yes.
I mean, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Wow.
Like I said, I grew up nerd. My parents read me The Lord of the Rings when I was younger, when I was 6, 5 years old. Read through it. I've read through it a dozen times at this point.
Wow.
I did book projects on it in high school.
That's thick stuff, too.
It is tough to get. It is a slog.
Yeah.
Like, you get to that, the second fourth of Two Towers.
Right.
You're just like, geez, when will this end? Or you get partway through The Hobbit where they're just listing names. Right. It's like trying to read the Bible.
Get to the tower already.
It's and that's a little tough. But the high fantasy, it's still so unique.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it.
Like the movies too, or
I love the
disappointed?
Movies. The Hobbit was a little disappointing. Yeah. They didn't really let Peter Jackson do what he did with the Lord of the Rings
trilogy. Which was weird because of his track record.
Yeah, but this always happens. When you have a popular movie series, everybody wants to have their opinions. Sure. This happened with the Avengers, right? So the first Avengers was a great movie. And the second Avengers, pretty good. But then all of the producers were like, we want to have this cameo, we want to have this line, we want to have this character do something.
It became a Marvel commercial, basically.
And basically it caused the whole MCU staff to be like, screw this, I'm done forever.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson, you look at pictures of him by the end of, at the beginning and the end of filming, it's like looking at the before and after the presidency photos.
Right.
It's like he grayed, he withered.
He really did.
It was just based on the strain of it. So, I'm a little disappointed in the Hobbit stuff, but you know what? The fact that it's not a perfect movie is okay with me.
Sure. And complete opposite for someone like Ridley Scott, right? It's like they cryo-freeze him after every Alien movie and then wake him up because he just doesn't look like he's aged since 1979.
Absolutely. And there's some people who are like that. Like some directors, they peaked and then they're just done.
Right.
And then there are some directors who peak and then just maintain peak just somehow.
And you get really fun ones like Shyamalan, right?
Shyamalan,
where it's a roller coaster.
Well, yeah, Shyamalan had Sixth Sense and it was on a downward trajectory for 6 movies, and then just shot right back up the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Perfect V.
Yeah, exactly. And so hopefully he keeps that up. Unfortunately, this Last Airbender, that's the movie I'm most disappointed in. Because Last Airbender is my favorite TV series of all time by a wide margin.
Right.
I think that it's the perfect TV series.
Wow.
It's
quite an endorsement.
It's a 3-chapter story that is perfect for kids and adults alike. It's I just love everything about it.
Sure.
And then the movie is so bad.
I couldn't even watch it. I
walked out of the theater.
I respect him too much to watch that movie.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I'm a Lady in the Water apologist. That's how much
Same.
really. Yeah,
I'm like, so this movie's.
Yeah.
I didn't walk out of the theater.
Right. It was almost like a campaign or something. You know, it was. I loved it. And what it was a story to his child.
Right.
And the studio got involved. You know, whatever.
Sure,
this is turning into a whole different kind of show.
Movie show.
Yeah, but it was a great movie. But yeah, okay, moving along, or else we'll be here forever on Shyamalan. Question 9 on last week's episode of the Hive Mind. I'm gonna have to read this one. I wrote a novel apparently.
Okay.
I asked Corbin Hostler if you Freaky Friday'd with Morrow for a day, what's your first order of business? And I asked him to do it in Morrow's voice. He told me
that I'm on the show.
That you're on the show.
Yeah.
So he's going to defer to the expert.
What do I do if I Freaky Friday with Mark Rosewater? I'm trying to think what his normal. Well, he does the Drive to Work podcast.
Sure.
So I would definitely do the Drive to Work podcast. He's worked on Roseanne though, so he's got more comedy writing chops than I do.
Right.
But I would probably do a show on like, I'm pulling out of the driveway. You know what that means? It's time for the Drive to Work podcast, and do a show on trying to do comedy theory and writing. Right.
Right.
Like being funny is easy, but comedy is hard work.
It's pretty good, man.
That's the best I can.
That's really good live.
I honestly don't think I'm that good at that impression.
It's funny.
But people seem to like it.
Yeah, it's fan favorite. We got it.
It's like Alec Baldwin doing Trump.
Right.
It's not a good impression.
Right.
But he like captures some essence.
Right.
That I think that I'm capturing something that
Absolutely.
even though it's nothing like actual Rosewater, I'm capturing something.
You're capturing the spirit of Rosewater for sure. And I know it was low hanging fruit, and I'm sorry I made you do it, but I needed it.
That's fine.
No.
Get those ratings.
That's it. That big YouTube dollars.
That was the money shot.
Number 10, the Magic the Gathering movie. So this is kind of a recurring theme in any of these.
Yeah.
Development hell.
Yeah.
Who's directing and cast the Baywatch?
Cast
Baywatch.
Cast the Gatewatch.
Yeah, forget the Magic movie.
Baywatch is coming out soon.
Yeah.
So we don't have to cast
Chris
the Baywatch.
Tuckman said it was actually really good. So the Magic the Gathering movie.
Yeah.
Development hell.
Yeah.
Who's directing and cast the Gatewatch?
The Gatewatch. Does it have to be about the Gatewatch? I mean, if we're okay,
no.
The movie does have to be about the Gatewatch.
I think
honestly.
it does. Yeah.
Because I would rather they do the Stronghold saga with the Weatherlight.
Oh, 100%. I'm with you,
but you know, because versus Legacy. Yeah, I think that the key to that is going to be get a well-regarded screenwriter, director, producer, and then cast all unknowns.
Okay.
No, maybe one. Maybe you cast like
you need one anchor.
One or two. We get like Tom Hardy as Gideon.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
And then like Evangeline Lilly as Nyssa.
Okay. Wow.
Oh no, or Kate Beckinsale as Nyssa.
Yeesh, those Underworld movies really did a number.
Look, she's a fine actress.
She's a fine.
Well, there's that. Too. But I think that unknown cast as Jace, unknown cast as Chandra.
Okay. Worked in the Power Rangers movie.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is that you don't have to have the lead actor be the big name.
Sure.
It should be Liliana. Liliana should be the big actor.
Okay.
So how old's Liliana supposed to be canonically? Other than 1,000 years.
No, right. About 30.
30?
Yeah.
See, my initial impression was Salma Hayek for Liliana.
Ooh, a little too old.
Because she's supposed to have the Middle Eastern kind of
Sure.
coloring. So
right.
Mexican
olive skin. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So like I don't know, but it should be Liliana Gideon. I think is who should be.
I heard a lot of Ashley Green.
Sure,
for Liliana.
Yeah. Ashley Green was in the Twilight movies.
She's the no. Okay, maybe I'm saying the wrong one. The one she was in the second 300 in
Ava Green.
Ava Green. Thank you.
Ava Green would be a great Liliana.
Right.
That'd be a good one.
She is just about a weird to pull that off.
And I think that you can cast a big name as the voice of whoever plays the bad guy.
Anna Johnny. too. Oh, well, he's not in the Gatewatch. Never mind. I was gonna say a cool like Liam Neeson doing a Johnny's voice.
Right, doing a Johnny's voice. I was thinking like if Nicol Bolas is the bad guy or if Eldrazi are the bad guy, you can get a Liam Neeson, you can get a James Earl Jones,
Cumberbatch, probably,
right, something like that. And then director, there are tons of great action directors who aren't doing anything right now. Honestly, the one that comes to mind, even though, I mean, he's going to be busy for the next couple years because he just left the Batman vs. Superman project based on family stuff, is Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder.
But you know what? That is exactly the kind of actor or director that you want doing a sort of like, you know, you're not watching the Magic movie for its plot.
Yeah.
You're watching it because it's a bunch of video game cutscenes. Exactly. And Zack Snyder is great at visual chewing gum.
Absolutely.
So I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very very blockbuster-esque. Yeah, that's perfect.
Or whoever did Mad Max Fury Road. I forget that guy's name. But
oh my
if
God,
that guy
blank. Frank Miller? Is it Frank Miller?
No, Frank Miller is the guy that like wrote Sin City and
Max.
Whatever. Whoever that is.
I am failing as a movie buff.
Mad Max Fury Road is my favorite movie of the last 10 years, and it's like not close, and I love that movie.
Man, you're not wrong. That movie kicked me in the nut.
It's so fun.
I went back and watched the other Mad Maxes, and I'm just like, this is special.
It's night and day.
It's special.
It is a beautiful piece of cinema.
Oh man, so good. All right, sir, you survived the gauntlet of power. Do you feel powerful?
I do.
That's good. All right.
I'm sorry that those weren't like quick.
It's your show.
Yeah. I'm not good at rapid fire.
Where can the good kids find you?
You can follow me at MoxRuby, MoxReuby. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all over the internet. You can watch Magic Mike's on Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/MagicMikes, MICS. And then on YouTube as well on Mr. Orange Guy, Evan Irwin's YouTube channel.
Yep.
I have my Critical Role podcast, if you're interested in that, which is called The Arcana Philosophical. That typically comes out Tuesdays or Wednesdays. You can follow at Arcana Podcast on Twitter for that one. That's edited by John Wiley, of course. And yeah, if you're here during the summer, I'll be dealing at the Win. So come on, stop by.
Excellent.
When you're not playing in the GP.
Man, excellent stuff. Reuben Bresler, ladies and gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me, John the Orzhov Dunn, on the following social media outlets. Orzhov Dunn on Twitter. You can find me at the They Said We Said Instagram and They Said We Said Facebook group. So, once again, everyone, thank you, Reuben, for being my first in-studio guest. This has been a whole lot of fun.
Glad to do it.
And guys, I will traverse the multiverse. No, that's not right.
Traverse the Ulfenwald?
Ulfenwald?
What are we?
I will see you guys in the multiverse. Something like that. See you later.